Mike Tyson is probably one of the greatest fighters to actually watch, not just because of the peekaboo style, it's because how he was able to deal with taller and longer fighters. Just because Mike Tyson was shorter doesn't mean he wasn't able to find his way in to be able to knock out taller and longer fighters. So what we want to break down is how Mike Tyson made his entries, how he was able to bait his opponents into throwing, and essentially how he was able to systematically break down every opponent he faced. Okay, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, Larry Holmes versus Mike Tyson. Don't want to waste any time. I want to get right into it. Okay, so key notes I want to leave you guys with is one, baiting your opponent. Okay, two, getting your head off the line when you jab. And then number three, and this is kind of a two-parter here, is that you bait your opponent to throw based off of a slip or bringing your hands in a high guard position. Okay, and we're already going to see that here off top. So Larry Holmes, as long and tall as he was, he would do this quite often, right? Which he would throw this hand out there just to measure. Now I want you to acknowledge the space that we have here. Oh, that's bad. Let's redo that. Okay, that's better. So by Larry Holmes bringing his hand out here, we're trying to establish the range and the space. So where Mike Tyson needs to, or where Larry Holmes' hands needs to be able to land a shot on Mike Tyson. Okay. Now, this is beautiful because in the peekaboo style, you want your opponent to actually throw punches. This is how they have openings. Your opponent is most vulnerable when they're throwing punches. So let's watch here. Larry Holmes drops it. And then on approach, we're seeing already the dip. And Larry Holmes does some beautiful work here where he brings his hand down on Mike Tyson's neck and frames and gets control. This is beautiful, okay, by Larry Holmes. This is beautiful work, okay? Again, just because he's older doesn't mean he doesn't have veteran skills, y'all. Old men be having them old tricks, okay? Now, Mike Tyson being aggressive, and I said this before in the keynotes, okay, is that notice how Mike Tyson here goes into a high guard. Okay. Now, why is going into a high guard so important? Because as the taller and longer fighter, when you see the hands up, it's a lot easier to be able to strike openings or even hit the gloves to limit your opponent's options. So this would look good to Larry Holmes, but truthfully, this is the trap that Mike Tyson sets for all of his opponents. So he'll come into the high guard, but at a moment's notice, he'll drop right out of it because he's trying to bait his opponent to throw. Now, I said this before, jabbing with your head off the center line. Larry Holmes, again, a veteran of the game, catches this jab, easy to see, and trying to frame Mike Tyson here. Again, veteran skills, y'all. Tries to frame him here. But problem is, Mike Tyson pushes the frame with his head to break it. And this allows him the ability to move in and get closer to try to strike. Nothing lands effectively, but again, aggressively moving forward. So he's breaking frames, he's slipping and getting his head off the line on approach. So when he enters, he's throwing a jab with a head off the line, or he's going to bring his head into a high guard. You even see it here. High guard, back down. High guard. We're trying to bait the jab. Nothing. High guard again. Now we're going to slip our head out the way to try to bait it again. Mike Tyson throws a jab. Larry Holmes uses his lead hand to prevent that. Okay. So we're seeing this all happen. Okay. Let's go into the later rounds. Okay. Let's go to 12:56. Okay. All right. So now a couple rounds have gone by. Okay. We're using the same method where we're slipping or going into a high guard to bait the shot. So let's watch this here. Jabbing off the line, but this time we're not trying to get the jab to land. We're trying to get our opponent to react to it and then come over the top. So notice how this was all just bait right here. We want him to react to the jab. We want Larry Holmes, our opponent, to react to this jab. So that way, when it comes time, we can bring the right over the top here. Pretty simplistic, right? Let's continue. Does the same thing, misses here. All right. Just because you miss doesn't mean the strategy's wrong. So drops down to the right, tries to do the same thing where he's baiting that lead hand. The lead hand goes out, and instead of going to the head this time, he tries to go for the body, just misses. So see how that works. He went up top first with the feint. Now he used the feint again and tried to go down to the body. So the same process, the same concept. All right, let's see it again. All right. All right. Once again, you see the high guard. Boom. All right. High guard because we want to bait our opponent to throw a shot. Larry Holmes, being as smart as he is, excuse me, doesn't throw. Now he throws on the high guard again. Okay. So when Mike Tyson goes into the high guard, Larry Holmes is like, oh, now it's time. Now I can throw that strike in there. But once again, this is all bait, ladies and gentlemen, because now we slip and look to attack back, just barely miss. We bait it and trying to counter our opponent. Okay. So again, pay attention to the key notes, y'all. You want to jab with your head off the line. Okay. You want to bait your opponent to throwing. And this happens in a couple of ways, but in Mike Tyson's case, he slips first to bait, and then he'll go into a high guard, or he'll go into a high guard to bait the shot to be able to counter. Okay. So we're baiting our opponent into throwing, so that way it allows us to be able to find our entries in. So we're not finding entries just off of stepping in. We want our opponent to feel the pressure. Same thing happens here again. All right. Yep. Baiting. So the head was slipping, baited our opponent, and trying to find our way in. So all Mike Tyson does is go ahead and attack on the entries by baiting his opponent. Yep. That's all that you see here, y'all. Well, thank y'all so much for watching. Be sure to check out the breakdowns that I have. Check out the Mike Tyson playlist, and then check out all the other playlists that I have. Peace.